Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Hello, Paula. Hello, Anna. I'm glad to see all of you here this evening. And we will get started. Please don't forget to hit that like button and the heart on the right-hand side. I would appreciate it. And we are going in to Chapter 2 of The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. And we are going to say our prayer and move on to our chapter. And tonight's prayer is, "This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Psalm 118:24. This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. What a beautiful prayer. All right, let's get into our book read. I'll get comfy. Nice and comfy. Hello, Lenore. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Chapter 2. I'll tell you, the first chapter was really exciting, and I have been looking forward to getting into Chapter 2. Yes, I have. Nice, Paula. Chapter 2. When you live in your car, you have to keep things simple. You're not going to be hosting any major gatherings, for one thing. No wine and cheese parties, no poker nights. That's fine, because I don't have anyone I want to see. The bigger problem is where to take a shower. These days, after I was evicted from my studio, which was 3 weeks after I got fired from my job, I discovered a rest stop that had showers. I almost cried with joy when I saw it. Yes, the showers had very little privacy and smell faintly of human waste. But at that point, I was desperate to be clean. Now I'm enjoying my lunch in the back seat of the car. I do have a hot plate that I can plug in the cigarette lighter for special occasions, but mostly I eat sandwiches. Lots and lots of sandwiches. I've got a cooler where I store the cold cuts and the cheese, and I've got a loaf of white bread. 99 cents at the supermarket. And then snacks, of course. Bags of chips, crackers with peanut butter, Twinkies. The unhealthy options are endless. Today, I'm eating ham and American cheese with a dollop of mayonnaise. With every bite I take, I try not to think about how sick I am of sandwiches. After I've forced down half of my sandwich, my phone rings in my pocket. I have one of those prepaid flip phones that people only use if they're going to commit a crime or else they've traveled back 15 years in the past. But I need a phone, and this is all I could afford. Wilhelmina Calloway, a woman's clipped voice says on the other line. I wince at the use of my full name. Wilhelmina was my father's mother, who is long gone. I don't know what sort of psychopath would name their child Wilhelmina. But I don't speak to my parents anymore, and likewise, they don't speak to me. So it's a little late to ask. Anyway, I've always been just Millie, and I try to correct people as quickly as I can. but I get the feeling that whoever is calling me isn't somebody I am going to be on first name basis with anytime soon. Yes, Ms. Calloway, the woman says. This is Donna Stratton. From Munchburgers? Oh, right, Munchburgers. The greasy fast food joint that granted me an interview a few days ago. I will be flipping burgers or else manning the cash register. But if I worked hard, there was some opportunity for advancement. And better yet, an opportunity to have enough money to move out of my car. Of course, the job I really would have loved was at the Winchester household. But it's been a whole week since I met with Nina Winchester. It's safe to say I didn't get the dream job. I just wanted to let you know, Miss Stratton, that we have already filled the position at Munchburgers, but we wish you luck with your future job search. The ham and American cheese in my stomach churned. I had read online that Munchburgers didn't have very strict hiring practices. That even if I had a record, I have a chance of getting a job. This is the last interview I've managed to book ever since Mrs. Winchester failed to call me back. I'm desperate. I can't eat one more sandwich in my car. I just can't. Mrs. Stratton, I blurt out, I'm just wondering if you might be able to hire me at any of the other locations. I'm really hard worker. I'm very reliable. I stopped talking. She had already hung up. I clutched my sandwich in my right hand as I gripped my phone in the left. This is hopeless. Nobody wants to hire me. Every potential employer looks at me in the exact same way. All I want is a fresh start. I'll work my butt off if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes. I fight back the tears. Although I don't know why I'm bothering, nobody will see me crying in the back seat of my Nissan. There isn't anybody who cares about me anymore. My parents wiped their hands of me more than 10 years ago. My phone rings again, startling me out of my pity party. I wipe my eyes with the back of my hand and click the green button to take the call. Hello, I croak. Hi, is this Millie? The voice sounds vaguely familiar. I squeeze the phone to my ear, my heart leaping. Yes, this is Nina Winchester. You interviewed with me last week. Oh, I bite down hard on my lower lip. Why is she calling back now? I assumed she had already hired somebody and decided not to inform me. Yes, of course. So if you're interested, we would be delighted to offer you the job. I feel a rush of blood to my head that makes me almost dizzy. We would be delightful to offer you the job. Is she serious? It was conceivable that Munchburgers might hire me, but it seemed outright impossible that a woman like Nina Winchester might invite me into her home to live. Is it possible she didn't check my references? Didn't do a simple background check? Maybe she's just so busy she never got around to it. Maybe she's one of those women who prides herself on gut feelings. Millie, are you there? I realize I have been completely silent on the other line. I'm that stunned. Yes, I'm here. So, are you interested in the position? I am. I'm trying not to sound too ridiculously eager. I definitely am. I would love to work for you. Work with me, Nina corrects her. I let out a strangled laugh. Right, of course. So when can you start? Um, when would you like me to start? As soon as possible. I'm jealous of Nina's easy laugh. That sounds so different from my own. If only I could snap my fingers and trade places with her. We'd have a ton of laundry that needs folding. I swallow. How about tomorrow? That would be wonderful. But don't you need time to get your stuff packed? I didn't want to tell her that everything I own is already in the trunk of my car. I'm a fast packer. She laughs again. I love your spirit, Millie. I can't wait for you to come work here. As Nina and I exchange details about tomorrow, I wonder if she would feel the same way about me if she knew I spent the last 10 years of my life in prison. And that takes us to chapter 3. I'm going to go ahead and delve into chapter 3. I arrive at the Winchester home the next morning, after Nina has already dropped Cecilia off at the school. I park outside the metal gate surrounding their property. I never been in a house that was protected by a gate before, much less lived there. But this swanky Long Island neighborhood seems to be all gated houses. Considering how low the crime rate is around here, it seems like overkill. But who am I to judge? Everything else being equal, if I had a choice between a house with a gate and a house with no gate, I would pick the gate too. The gate was open when I arrived yesterday, but today it's closed. Locked, apparently. I stand there a moment, my 2 duffel bags at my feet, trying to figure out how to get inside. There doesn't seem to be any sort of doorbell or buzzer, but that landscaper is on the property again, crouched in the dirt, a shovel in his hand. "Excuse me," I call out. The man glances over his shoulder at me, then goes back to digging. Real nice. "Excuse me," I say again, loud enough that he can't ignore me. This time he slowly gets to his feet. He's in absolutely no hurry as he ambles across the giant front lawn to the entrance to the gate. He pulls off his thick rubber gloves and raises his eyebrows at me. "Hi," I say, trying to hide my annoyance. "My name is Millie Calloway, and it's my first day working here. I'm just trying to get inside because Mrs. Winchester is expecting me." He doesn't say anything. From across the yard, I had only noticed how big he is, at least a head taller than me, with biceps the size of my thighs. But close up, I realize he's actually pretty hot. He looks to be in his mid-30s, with thick jet black hair, damp from exertion, olive skin, and rugged good looks. But most striking feature is his eyes. His eyes are very black, so dark I can't distinguish the pupil from his iris. Something about his gaze makes me take a step back. So can you help me?" I asked. The man finally opened his mouth. I expect him to tell me to get lost or show him some ID. But instead, he lets loose with a string of rapid Italian. At least, I think it's Italian. I can't say I know a word of the language, but I saw an Italian movie with subtitles once, and it sort of sounded like that. "Oh," I say when he finishes his monologue. No English?" "English," he says in a voice so heavily accented, it's clear what the answer is. No, no English. Great. I clear my throat, trying to figure out the best way to express what I need to tell him. So I point to my chest. "I am working for Mrs. Winchester." I point to the house. "And I need to get inside." Now I point to the lock on the gate. "Inside." He just frowns at me. Great. I'm about ready to dig out my phone and call Nina when he goes off to the side, hits some sort of switch, and the gate swings open, almost in slow motion. Once the gates are open, I take a moment to gaze up at the house that will be my home for the foreseeable future. The house is 2 stories plus the attic, sprawling over what looks like the length of a city block in Brooklyn. It's almost blindingly white, possibly freshly painted, but the architecture looks contemporary. But what do I know? I just know it looks like the people living here have more money than they know what to do with. I start to pick up one of my bags, but before I can, the guy picks up both of them without even grunting and carries them to the front door for me. Those bags are very heavy. They contain literally everything I own inside from my car, so I'm grateful he volunteered to do the heavy lifting. "Gracias," I say. He gives me a funny look. That might have been Spanish. Oh well. I point to my chest. "Millie," I say. "Millie." He nods in understanding, then points to his own chest. "I am Enzo." "Nice to meet you," I say awkwardly, even though he won't understand me. But God, if he lives here with and has a job, he must have picked up a little English. "Peccare di concerti," he says. I nod wordlessly. So much for making friends with the landscaping guy. "Millie," he says again in his thick Italian accent. He looks like he has something to say, but he's struggling with the language. "You." He hisses a word in Italian, but as soon as we hear the front door start to unlock, Enzo hurries back to where he had been, crouched in the front yard, and makes himself very busy. I could just barely make out the word he said. Pericolo. Whatever that means. Maybe it means he wants a soft drink. Pericola. With a twist of lime, maybe? "Millie!" Nina looks delighted to see me. So delighted that she throws her arms around me and squashes me in a hug. "I'm so glad you decided to take the job. I just felt like you and I had a connection, you know?" That's what I thought. She got a gut feeling about me, so she didn't bother to do the research. Now I have to make sure she never has any reason not to trust me. I have to be the perfect employee. Yes, I know what you mean. I feel the same way. "Well, come in." Nina grabs the crook of my elbow and leads me into the house, obvious to the fact that I'm struggling with my 2 pieces of luggage. Not that I would have expected her to help. It wouldn't have even occurred to her. I can't help but notice when I walk inside that house, it looks different from the very first time I was here. Very different. When I came for the interview, the Winchester house was immaculate. I could have eaten off any surface in the room. But now the place looks like a pigsty. The coffee table in front of the sofa has 6 cups on it with varying amounts of different sticky liquids in them, about a dozen crumpled newspapers, magazines, dented